honourable member for Dartmouth North.
Mr. Speaker, my question is for the Premier. More and more, this Liberal government's solution for people and families on the brink of homelessness is to move them into hotels. Hotel costs for ESIA clients by the Department of Community Services has increased every year since 2013-14. Often, the reason that people are not in permanent, stable housing is because their ESIA rates are too low to pay skyrocketing rents. We have a failing rent supplement strategy. Short-term rentals are removing housing units from the market, and a provincial vacancy rate of 1.4% means there is virtually nothing available, let alone options that are affordable. This week, we learned that the stopgap solution of housing people in hotels is failing. Mr. Speaker, will the Premier admit that this expensive and absurd solution is a result of a perfect storm of his failed policies, inadequate income assistance rates, and an unchecked housing crisis?
The Honourable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, we had the single largest increase, Mr. Speaker, in income assistance in the province's history, Mr. Speaker. That was following after 4 years of the Democratic Party, Mr. Speaker, didn't do anything. So let's be clear about this. That doesn't mean the situation is one, Mr. Speaker, that we should be taking lightly. The reality of it is there's a myriad of housing options, and at times, Mr. Speaker, the department requires to be able to house people in hotels. This particular hotel has decided that it's no longer going to do that. The minister and her department is working diligently with not only this family, but with partners across this region to provide options when it comes to affordable housing, Mr. Speaker, for families and children.
The honourable member for Dartmouth North.
It's easy to have a single largest income assistance rate hike when you freeze rates for the years preceding the rent hike or the rate hike. The fact is that rate hike, the standard household rate, is not going to help people on income assistance. Mr. Speaker, I would like to highlight to the members of this House what it means for the families and children who are put in this situation. Single mothers have no way to prepare their lunches for their children headed to school or to cook supper for them when they come home. Constant change and upheaval for the families means trauma for the children and a total lack of ability to plan for the future and manage a household. Put yourselves in that situation for a moment. All of this could be avoided by real increases to ESIA rates and a substantial action on the housing crisis. Mr. Speaker, what will it take for the Premier to take meaningful action so that Nova Scotian families can be in a safe, stable and affordable home and not be shuffled from hotel to hotel?
The Honourable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the honourable member for the question. Mr. Speaker, in her preamble, Mr. Speaker, she spoke about rates being frozen. She was very right. In the Democratic Party, Mr. Speaker, they spent like there was no tomorrow, but they forgot the most vulnerable people in our province, Mr. Speaker. Imagine this. We had a $650 million hole in 1 year. In 1 year. And what did they do for people in income assistance? Those looking for housing, Mr. Speaker? Nothing. What we're doing, Mr. Speaker, is put forward a comprehensive plan to be able to deal with the options. This is a very serious issue, Mr. Speaker. I said yesterday, we're unhappy with the rate of child poverty in this province. We need to continue to do better. We need to continue to work with community organizations across this province to address that issue. The same issue comes around affordable housing, Mr. Speaker. This part of our province, Mr. Speaker, the entire province is growing, but in particular, we have a housing issue here, one that will create all of us to work together to be able to provide an option, whether it's the municipality, whether it's the private sector, and yes, Mr. Speaker, we as a government have a role to play in that.